what I want is a sustainable future, just like I think you want a sustainable future. And, when people talk about the opportunity in television, which we did talk a little bit about, but just, one important point, I think there's a huge amount of excitement over the opportunity with something like CTV. Cookies are not relevant there. They're not relevant in other environments either. So we're going to be dealing on different infrastructure, which is great, but it also means we have this responsibility to think about all of the mistakes we've made in the past to ensure that we're doing it the right way by consumers.
Yeah, it's interesting that on a technical basis, connected television looks like what browsers are going to look like. So when we're done taking away all of the cookies, that's kind of how CTV works already, and the same solutions will exist. So I mean, definitely excited about sustainability. I'm also excited about feature set as it relates to the consumer. So when honestly, Facebook's got it pretty dialed when it comes to like telling you where ads came from. If you click the little thing on why did I get this ad, they'll be like, well, it's because they won't say you're friends with these people. That's a violation of that trust. But they're like, you're in this group and you looked at this thing and that's, why you got that. And so if you don't want that, tell me about it and I'll record that. We can actually have that experience for the entire internet and all of connected television if we do it right. So if you see an ad and you're like, why did I get that ad? You click it and you're like, oh yeah, it's because I signed into all those websites and I told them they can all have my data. And then if I don't like that, I can say, oh, get rid of all that stuff. And I'm not going to sign into that site anymore. Like it's a manageable product to put in front of a consumer for the first time.
Totally. I mean, you've probably been advocating for this too, but I sort of had this idea that if we could create preference centers, and it's like, we don't want to create more work for consumers, but I think there's some responsibility that they have here to be participants in this ecosystem in which they interact. So that would allow them to do that exact thing. And as I said, I'd already been kind of advocating for brands trying some of those things in their messaging strategies now, like, hey, are you cool with the thing I just did? If you are, I'll do more of it. And if you're not, I'll try and do less of it. And I thought of it as an opportunity for brands to actually create some advantage for themselves by being so open and sort of forward thinking with consumers. And then all this stuff happened. And it's like, no, now we need to be thinking that way. It's not just a nice to have.
I think that's a great point. Like I remember getting some ads from a big brand that were 5 seconds, 5-second videos injected into 30-second spots. And I was like, that's awesome. Thank you. And and they got their point across in 5 seconds, and they gave me 25 seconds back because they bought the spot and they only used 5 seconds. I was like, that's my favorite brand now. So there is a huge opportunity to level up in that way, and instead of consuming the minute you bought, like have a good conversation. And
yes, I would love to see more brands lean into that idea, because I go to all the conferences where we talk about the future of converged TV and the opportunity with addressable TV and connected TV and OTT, and it's all about data and targeting. And understandably, right, like there are many things about digital that are incredibly appealing. It's more flexible, it's more nimble, it's it's generally more measurable, it's more dynamic. It's just you can be really smart with it. But what we should be paying attention to in digital is that we can't just treat data as ours to have whenever we want. We're gonna ruin it for ourselves if we're not careful in TV.
But yeah, I think all the ingredients are there. So the most important thing is to have the conversation with the consumer, because like we need to like create the right economics, so that if you do pollute your app as a CTV provider with too many ads that aren't relevant, and somebody else has probably the same content with fewer ads and it's better, like we need the consumer to notice that and react. They need to be in the driver's seat. So we need to have a framework that'll allow people to understand that. And then we've got subscription fatigue on our side, and that there's no way that everyone can pay for all of the content. There's no one willing to pay for all the content. So there has to be ad-funded content. And people are really going to notice the difference, I think. And if it drifts back towards cable, so in cable, as CPMs got lower and lower in cable, because it wasn't very effective, and people started realizing that it wasn't that effective because it wasn't that targeted, then the number of ad spots grew and grew and grew until the point where there's like 20 minutes of content an hour of cable TV. That's insane. That's what will happen to CTV unless we get this right.